Richard Calloway sat in his Manhattan office, staring at yet another call from the NYPD. His son, Tyler, 19 years old, had been arrested again, third time in 6 months. DUI this time, after crashing his new Porsche into a storefront. No one seriously hurt, thankfully, but the pattern was clear and terrifying. Tyler was out of control. Richard had built his fortune from nothing, starting with a small tech company in his garage and growing it into a billion-dollar empire. He'd given his son everything: private schools, luxury cars, unlimited credit cards, a penthouse apartment. Tyler had never worked a day, never faced real consequences, never understood the value of anything because everything had always been handed to him. The divorce when Tyler was 12 hadn't helped. Richard's ex-wife had moved to Europe with her new husband, leaving Tyler primarily with Richard, who'd compensated for absence with money and indulgence. Now at 19, Tyler was entitled, arrogant, cruel to service staff, dismissive of anyone he considered beneath him, and developing serious problems with alcohol and reckless behavior. Richard paid the bail, paid for the damages, paid lawyers to make the charges disappear. But driving home with Tyler, who showed no remorse and actually laughed about the incident, something snapped. "You think this is funny? You could have killed someone." "But I didn't. Stop being dramatic, Dad." "You'll fix it like you always do." The casual dismissal, the complete lack of accountability, the smirk on Tyler's face. Richard realized he'd created a monster. His son had become everything Richard despised: spoiled, arrogant, disconnected from reality, believing wealth exempted him from consequences. That night, Richard made a decision. Money had ruined Tyler. Comfort had destroyed his character. So Richard would take it all away. Not forever, but long enough to teach lessons that clearly hadn't been learned through privilege. He called his old friend Jack Morrison, who owned a working cattle ranch in Montana. "I need a favor, a big one. I'm sending you my son, and I need you to break him down and build him back up." Tyler woke the next morning to his father standing in his bedroom. "Pack a bag, essentials only. You're leaving in 2 hours." "Leaving? For where? Vegas, Miami?" Tyler was used to his father sending him on vacations after incidents, ways to let scandals blow over. "Montana, a cattle ranch. You'll be working there for the next 6 months." Tyler laughed. "You're joking." "I've never been more serious. You've had every advantage, every opportunity, and you've wasted all of it. You're entitled, reckless, and heading toward either prison or death. So I'm intervening the only way I know might actually work." "I'm 19, you can't force me to go anywhere." "You're right, I can't force you, but I can cut you off completely. No money, no apartment, no car, no credit cards. You can go to Montana and learn to work, or you can figure out how to survive in New York with zero resources. Your choice." Tyler's face went from amused to angry to panicked as he realized his father was serious. "This is insane. I'm not going to some dirty ranch to shovel cow shit." "Then you'll do it in New York, homeless, because that's where you're headed if you don't change. The Porsche is gone. I donated it. The penthouse lease ends today. Your credit cards are cancelled. Everything you've taken for granted is gone. Montana is your only option unless you want to experience real poverty." 2 hours later, Tyler sat on a private plane, the last luxury he'd experienced for months, furious and terrified. He'd packed designer clothes, expensive cologne, his laptop and phone. His father had allowed the electronics but warned him, "There's barely cell service on the ranch. You'll be disconnected from your life, which is exactly what you need." At the small Montana airport, Jack Morrison waited. A man in his 60s, weathered by decades of ranch work, wearing worn jeans and a simple shirt. He looked at Tyler, in his designer hoodie and sneakers that cost more than most people's monthly rent, and smiled grimly. "You must be Tyler. Welcome to the real world, son. It's going to be a rough 6 months. The ranch was 2 hours from the airport, accessible only by a rough dirt road that made Tyler carsick. When they finally arrived, Tyler stared in horror. This wasn't the picturesque Western ranch from movies. It was working operation, functional, dusty, with old buildings that needed paint and equipment that had seen better days. Jack showed him to his quarters, a small room in the bunkhouse with other ranch hands, furnished with only a single bed, a small dresser, and a lamp. No TV, no Wi-Fi, no luxury of any kind. The bathroom was shared, the shower barely warm, the whole place smelling of livestock and hay. "You'll wake at 5 a.m., Jack explained. "Breakfast at 5:30, work starts at 6. You'll be mucking stables, feeding animals, mending fences, whatever needs doing. Lunch at noon, work until 6, dinner at 7, lights out at 9, Sundays are half days. This is slavery, this is illegal. This is work, what 90% of the world does to survive. Your father thinks you need perspective, I agree. Tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., don't be late." Tyler lay in the unfamiliar bed that night, hearing sounds he'd never heard before. Animals, wind, silence so complete it was deafening. He checked his phone, barely any signal, and even if there was, who would he call? His friends in New York seemed suddenly irrelevant, their lives of clubs and parties belonging to a different universe. Morning came brutally early. Jack pounded on the door at exactly 5 a.m. Tyler groaned, tried to go back to sleep, and was physically dragged from bed by Jack. "You don't get to sleep in here. Get dressed. You have 10 minutes. The work was immediate and unrelenting. Tyler was assigned to clean stables, shoveling manure, replacing hay, work that was physically exhausting and humiliating. His designer clothes were immediately ruined, his soft hands blistered within the first hour. By lunch, Tyler was ready to collapse. His body hurt in ways he didn't know were possible. He smelled terrible. He was hungry in a way he'd never experienced, not the casual hunger of skipping brunch, but deep, physical depletion. And the day was only half over. The first 2 weeks were pure hell. Tyler woke every morning in pain, his body protesting work it wasn't designed for. The other ranch hands, men in their 20s and 30s who'd worked ranches their whole lives, watched him struggle with mixture of amusement and disdain. They didn't know Tyler was a billionaire's son. Jack had told them only that he was a city kid who needed to learn work ethic. Tyler tried to quit multiple times. He demanded Jack call his father. He threatened lawsuits. He threw tantrums that embarrassed him, but he couldn't control. Jack's response was always the same. "Call your father yourself." "Oh, wait, no signal. Guess you're stuck here." The work was relentless and often disgusting. Mucking stables, castrating calves, mending miles of fence line in brutal heat, hauling feed that weighed more than Tyler thought possible. His hands became calloused and scarred. His body, once soft from gym sessions with personal trainers, became lean and genuinely strong. But it wasn't just physical transformation. The environment stripped away all the buffers Tyler had used to avoid self-reflection. No parties to distract him, no alcohol to numb discomfort, no friends to validate his behavior. Just work, silence, and slowly, unwillingly, thinking about who he'd become. The ranch hands began talking to him in week 3, after he'd proven he wouldn't quit despite clearly suffering. Marcus, a 30-year-old who'd worked ranches since 14, asked during lunch, "Why you here, man? You don't talk like ranch people. You're running from something?" Tyler surprised himself by answering honestly, "I'm the asshole rich kid who crashed a Porsche while drunk. My dad sent me here to teach me a lesson." Marcus nodded slowly. "Is it working?" Tyler thought about his life before, the emptiness despite luxury, the constant need for more excitement, the complete lack of purpose. Maybe. I don't know yet. That night, lying in his bunk, Tyler cried for the first time since childhood, not from pain or frustration, but from recognition that everything he'd thought mattered, money, status, possessions, had left him hollow and heading toward destruction. Month 2 brought unexpected shift. Tyler's body had adapted to the work. He could now complete tasks without collapsing, could keep pace with experienced hands. But more significant was mental change beginning to occur. He started noticing things he'd never seen before. The way sunrise looked over Montana plains, colors he'd never appreciated because he'd never been awake early enough or present enough to notice. The satisfaction of finishing difficult tasks, of fence mended properly, of animals fed and healthy because of his work, the simple pleasure of cold water after hours in heat, of meal earned through labor, of sleep that came from genuine exhaustion rather than chemical assistance. Jack began trusting him with more complex tasks. Tyler learned to ride, to rope, to repair equipment. Each new skill built confidence that wasn't based on money or status, but on competence and effort. The other ranch hands accepted him gradually, their initial skepticism replaced by respect, as Tyler proved willing to work hard and learn. One evening, Tyler sat with Marcus watching sunset after a particularly grueling day. "I used to think I was better than people like you," Tyler said quietly. "I thought money made me superior, that people who worked manual labor were somehow less." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "And now? Now I think I was idiot. You've got skills I'll never fully master. You've built life with meaning and purpose. I had everything and was completely empty." "Money ain't evil," Marcus said, "but it can hide things from you. Hide what really matters. Sometimes people need to lose everything to find what they should have had all along." Tyler started calling his father weekly. Only time he could get signal was driving into a small town 20 miles away. Their conversations were stilted initially, but gradually became more honest. "I hated you for sending me here," Tyler admitted during one call. "I still hate parts of it. But Dad, I was destroying myself. I see that now." Richard, listening to his son's voice, deeper, more mature, felt emotion he hadn't expected. "I was terrified I'd lose you. To accident, to overdose, to your own carelessness. This was desperate move. It's working. I'm not fixed, but I'm different. Better, maybe. I don't know who I'll be when I come back." 4 months in, crisis struck that would define Tyler's transformation. A severe storm hit the ranch, bringing lightning, heavy rain, and chaos. One of the horses, spooked by thunder, broke through a fence and ran toward dangerous ravine. Without thinking, Tyler mounted another horse and rode after it. He'd been learning to ride, but this was different. High-speed chase through darkness and rain, trying to cut off panicked animal before it hurt itself. Tyler's body moved on instinct built through months of work, his mind calculating angles and timing in ways his old self never could have managed. He caught the horse, calmed it, led it back. But in the process, his own horse stumbled in mud. Tyler was thrown hard, landing on rocks, pain exploding through his shoulder. He'd separated it, possibly broken collarbone. Marcus found him, helped him back to ranch house where they waited for doctor from town. Hour drive in good weather, longer in storm. The pain was excruciating, but what Tyler remembered most was lying there realizing he wasn't scared. 6 months ago, any injury would have sent him into panic, demanding immediate helicopter to best hospital. Now, he simply endured, knowing pain was temporary, that bodies heal, that toughness wasn't about avoiding difficulty, but handling it. The doctor confirmed separated shoulder, prescribed rest. Tyler was forbidden from heavy work for 3 weeks. He chafed at restriction, wanted to keep working, proving something to himself and others. Jack noticed the change. 6 months ago, you'd be celebrating excuse not to work. Now you're upset about resting. That's growth. During recovery, Tyler helped with lighter tasks, bookkeeping, equipment inventory, planning. He discovered he had head for logistics, could optimize operations in ways that made ranch more efficient. Jack was impressed. "Your business sense is valuable. You're not just muscle. You can contribute different ways." Tyler realized that privilege hadn't been inherently bad. It was how he'd used it. Education, resources, opportunities, these were tools that could serve purpose if wielded with wisdom and character. He'd wasted them before, he wouldn't again. With 2 months remaining, Tyler experienced a moment that would stay with him forever. One of the ranch hands, Carlos, received terrible news. His daughter back in Texas was sick, needed surgery family couldn't afford. The ranch hands pulled together what money they could, but it wasn't enough. Tyler watched these men, who had so little, giving what they could without hesitation. He thought about his old life, where he'd spent more on single night at club than Carlos needed for his daughter's surgery. Without telling anyone, Tyler called his father. "I need you to do something. Don't ask questions, just trust me." Richard, hearing determination in Tyler's voice, agreed. Within 24 hours, anonymous donation covered the surgery completely. Carlos wept with relief, never knowing the source. Tyler felt satisfaction deeper than anything money had ever bought him. Not the giving itself, though that mattered, but understanding finally what wealth was for. He started making plans. His father's company needed reform, better wages for lower-level employees, better benefits, better treatment. Tyler drafted proposals during evenings, using skills he was developing for analysis and planning, combined with empathy he'd learned through labor. The work excited him in ways his old life never had. Jack noticed Tyler reading business books, working on laptop when signal allowed, filling notebooks with ideas. "You're a different kid than arrived here." "I'm not sure I'm kid anymore. I feel like I aged 10 years in 5 months. That's what real life does. It either destroys you or forges you into something stronger. You chose to be forged. Tyler called his father regularly now, their conversations lasting hours, discussing business strategy and ethics and values. Richard was amazed by his son's transformation, by insights that showed maturity that hadn't existed 6 months ago. "Are you ready to come home?" Richard asked. Tyler thought carefully. "Almost. I need to finish what I started here, see it through completely. But Dad, when I come back, things need to change, not just me. The company, how we treat people, what we prioritize, I can't go back to the old way. I wouldn't want you to. I'm proud of you, son, more than I've ever been." Tyler's last month at the ranch was bittersweet. He'd grown to love the work, the simplicity, the people. The thought of returning to New York filled him with anxiety and anticipation in equal measure. He'd changed, but would the change survive re-entry into his old environment? He worked harder than ever, knowing his time was limited. He taught newer hands things he'd learned, passing forward the knowledge others had given him. He helped Jack implement efficiency improvements that would reduce costs without cutting jobs. He spent evenings with the ranch hands, listening to their stories, understanding lives completely different from his own. Marcus became close friend, perhaps the first real friend Tyler had ever had. Relationship based on mutual respect rather than wealth or status. "What you gonna do when you get back to your rich life?" Marcus asked one evening. "Try to be worthy of it. Use resources for something beyond myself. My father built company from nothing. I took it for granted. Now I understand what it represents. Opportunity to create value, provide jobs, actually contribute. You were broken when you got here. Fixed now? Not fixed. I'll probably struggle with old habits, old temptations, but different. Aware of who I was and who I don't want to be again." Tyler organized farewell gathering on his last Saturday, barbecue for all the ranch hands and their families. He'd convinced his father to donate generously to the ranch, upgrading equipment and facilities. Jack was overwhelmed. "You didn't have to do this." "Yes, I did. You saved my life, Jack. All of you did. You showed me what actually matters. This is small repayment for enormous gift." That final night, Tyler walked the ranch alone, memorizing details, the smell of hay and livestock, the sound of wind through grass, the impossible number of stars visible without light pollution. He'd arrived in designer clothes with nothing but contempt for this life. He left in worn jeans and work boots, with respect and gratitude and hard-won wisdom. Jack drove him to airport early Sunday morning. "Your father did right thing sending you here." Took courage. Lots of parents can't face possibility their love and money are hurting rather than helping their kids. The plane touched down in New York on a grey November afternoon. Tyler's father waited at the private terminal, not having seen his son in person for 6 months. When Tyler emerged, Richard barely recognized him. The soft, arrogant boy was gone. In his place stood a young man, leaner, harder, moving with confidence that came from competence rather than entitlement. They embraced, and Richard felt his son's strength, not just physical, but something deeper. "Let me see your hands," Richard said. Tyler held them out, showing calluses and scars. His father's eyes filled with tears. "You did it. You actually did it." "Did what?" "Grew up, became the man I hoped you could be." The drive to Richard's penthouse was quiet, Tyler staring at the city with new eyes. Everything seemed excessive. The luxury cars, the designer boutiques, the conspicuous wealth that he'd once thought normal, now appearing almost obscene after months in Montana, where people worked hard for basic necessities. At the penthouse, Richard had prepared welcome-home meal, not catered but cooked himself, an effort that touched Tyler deeply. Over dinner, they talked for hours. Tyler shared stories from the ranch, lessons learned, people who'd influenced him. Richard listened, pride and relief evident in every expression. "I have something for you," Richard said finally, sliding folder across the table. Inside were keys and documents. "The Porsche is gone, but you'll need transportation. I bought you a truck, used, reliable, nothing flashy. And I restored your credit cards, but with reasonable limits. You've earned trust back, but I'm not returning you to unlimited access that enabled your worst impulses." Tyler appreciated the wisdom in this. "Thank you. That's fair and right. There's also this." Richard handed him another document. "Vice president position at the company. Not handed to you, you'll earn it. Starting at entry-level salary, working your way up based on merit. I've seen your proposals for company reforms. They're good, Tyler, really good. I want you to implement them, but from ground level, understanding every aspect of operation." Tyler felt emotions swell. His father wasn't just welcoming him back, he was trusting him with responsibility, with purpose, with the chance to prove his transformation was real and lasting. "I won't let you down. I know, because you've already proven you won't." Tyler's first weeks back tested everything he'd learned. He started at entry level in his father's company. Despite being the CEO's son, he worked in logistics, same starting position as any new hire. Some employees resented him, assuming nepotism. Others were curious about the infamous rich kid who disappeared for 6 months. Tyler kept his head down and worked. The ranch had taught him to prove himself through effort, not words. He arrived early, stayed late, learned every aspect of operations. He treated cleaning staff, security, everyone with respect that had been foreign to his old self. Word spread. Something had changed in Richard Calloway's son. He lived modestly, choosing apartment in middle-class neighborhood over luxury penthouse. He drove the used truck, wore simple clothes, avoided clubs and his old social circle. Some former friends reached out, confused by his transformation. Tyler met with a few, realized within minutes that they had nothing in common anymore. Their conversation was shallow, focused on consumption and status. He felt like anthropologist observing alien culture. The real test came when his old friend Derek threw a birthday party at exclusive club. Tyler attended briefly, hoping to maintain some connections. But watching his former crowd, the excess, the waste, The casual cruelty to service staff, the emptiness dressed in designer labels. He felt physically ill. This was who he'd been. The recognition was horrifying. He left early, drove to overlook where he could see city lights. His phone rang. Marcus from the ranch. "How's the rich life treating you?" "It's weird, man. I don't fit anymore. Not in my old life, but not quite sure where I fit now." "You fit where you make room for yourself. You've got chance to build something new, better. Don't waste it trying to squeeze back into old life that didn't work." The wisdom settled into Tyler. He wasn't trying to return to who he'd been. He was creating who he'd become. That required letting go of old identity completely, embracing uncertainty and possibility. He threw himself into work with renewed focus. His proposals for company reform, better wages, better benefits, better culture, began implementation. Some executives resisted, but Richard supported Tyler completely, recognizing wisdom in suggestions that came from experience at ground level. 6 months after returning from Montana, Tyler invited his father to the ranch for Thanksgiving. Richard, who'd never visited despite owning it with Jack, agreed. The trip would be full circle, seeing where Tyler had been transformed, understanding what had changed his son. They arrived on Wednesday evening. Jack greeted them both, his weathered face breaking into genuine smile when he saw Tyler. "Look at you. Still standing. Thought city might swallow you back up." Almost did. But the lessons stuck. The ranch hands gathered for Thanksgiving dinner. Traditional feast in the main house, everyone together regardless of hierarchy. Richard watched his son interact with these men, joking, working alongside them in kitchen, treating everyone with easy respect and camaraderie. Marcus pulled Richard aside during dinner. "Your boy did good. He was mess when he got here. Entitled, weak, lost. Jack and the work broke him down, but Tyler rebuilt himself. That took courage. Lots of folks break and stay broken. Your son chose to become something better." Richard felt tears threatening. "Thank you for seeing something worth saving." "We didn't save him. We just showed him tools. He did the saving himself." After dinner, Tyler walked his father around the ranch, showing him everything: the stables he'd mucked, the fences he'd mended, the horses he'd learned to ride. In the darkness, with stars overhead and cold Montana air sharp in their lungs, Tyler spoke. "I hated you for sending me here. For months, I fantasized about revenge, about making you pay for this humiliation. But Dad, you saved my life. I was on path to prison or death. This place, these people, the work. They gave me something I never had despite all your money. They gave me purpose and character and understanding of what actually matters." Richard broke down completely. 6 months of worry, hope, and fear released in tears. "I was terrified I'd lose you. I didn't know if it would work. I just knew doing nothing would result in disaster." Tyler embraced his father. "It worked. I'm not fixed. I'll struggle with old habits probably forever, but I'm different, better, and I want to spend my life earning what you built rather than wasting it." 2 years after Tyler's return from Montana, Richard stood before the company's annual shareholders meeting, preparing to make an announcement that would surprise everyone. Tyler sat in the audience, nervous but proud. "I'm stepping down as CEO," Richard announced to shocked silence. "I'm 62, ready for new chapter. More importantly, I've found a successor who understands this company and its values better than anyone. My son, Tyler Calloway." The room erupted in whispers. Tyler walked to the stage, shaking his father's hand, then addressed the room. "I know many of you remember me as the entitled kid who wrecked a Porsche and embarrassed this company. That person existed. He was wasteful, arrogant, and heading toward destruction. My father intervened by sending me to a cattle ranch in Montana for 6 months of manual labor. He showed slides, images of himself from Montana, working, covered in dirt and exhaustion. This experience taught me everything I needed to know about work, value, and treating people with dignity. Over the past 2 years, I've implemented reforms throughout this company. Better wages, better benefits, better culture. Profits haven't suffered. They've increased. Turns out treating employees well is good business. He outlined vision for the company's future, continued growth balanced with social responsibility, profit balanced with purpose, success measured not just in quarterly earnings, but in positive impact on employees and communities. The board approved his appointment unanimously. After the meeting, Richard found Tyler alone in the office that was now his. "How do you feel?" "Terrified, honored, ready." Tyler turned to his father, and Richard saw not the boy he'd sent to Montana, but the man who'd returned. "I'll make you proud, Dad." "You already have. The moment you chose to become better instead of bitter, the moment you used your suffering to gain wisdom instead of excuse for more self-destruction, that's when you made me proud. Everything else is just details." That evening, Tyler called the ranch. Marcus answered, and Tyler could hear familiar sounds in the background, animals, wind, the life that had forged him. "How's the big CEO?" Marcus laughed. "Scared and excited. Missing Montana, honestly. Doors always open. You need to remember who you are. Come back anytime." "I will, and Marcus, thank you for everything." "You did the work, man. We just provided the arena." Tyler hung up, stood at his office window overlooking Manhattan. The city gleamed below, full of ambition and possibility and danger. He'd been consumed by it once, almost destroyed. Now he had tools to navigate it, wisdom earned through labor, humility learned through struggle, purpose built through transformation. His father had punished him by sending him to ranch, but it hadn't been punishment, it had been salvation. And Tyler would spend the rest of his life honoring that gift by being the man he'd learned to become in those 6 months of breaking down and building back up. He thought about the scared, angry kid on that plane to Montana, convinced his life was ending. He'd been right in a way, that life had ended, but a better one had begun, forged in dirt and sweat, and the simple truth that character isn't inherited or bought. It's earned through work, struggle, and choice to become better than you were. Tyler smiled, turned from the window, and got back to work.